The film begins with the news revealing that an Egyptian pyramid was stolen. Gru, a supervillain, has his pride injured, an action that is described by his colleague Dr. Nefario as making all other villains look lame. Gru decides to do better with the assistance of Dr. Nefario by shrinking and stealing the moon, an idea based on his childhood dream of being an astronaut, which is always discouraged by his mother Marlena. The plan is quite expensive and Gru seeks a loan from the Bank of Evil, where the president Mr. Perkins is impressed by the plan but will only provide the money if Gru can obtain the shrink ray first. Gru and his minions steal a shrink ray from a secret base in Asia, but the up-and-coming supervillain Vector, who is also responsible for the pyramid theft, immediately steals it from Gru, as revenge for freezing his head earlier. Gru attempts to break into Vector's fortress to get the shrink ray back, but is defeated by numerous booby traps. However, he notices 3 orphan girls Margot, Edith, and Agnes easily walk into the base to sell Vector cookies. Gru, faking his credentials as a dentist, made by his minions at random, adopts the girls from Miss Hattie's Home for Girls, planning on using them to infiltrate Vector's base so he can steal the shrink ray back. When the girls got adopted and came to Gru's house and Margot found it out that Gru pretended that he was a recorded message, Gru lies that it was someone else. When the girls see Kyle, they get frightened, but Gru tells him that these are people, not food, and Agnes likes him, but Kyle runs away. Margot thinks that this place is inappropriate for kids. Just then Edith goes into the cupboard, which has got spikes, and Gru tells her not to go in there. But the door closes and they see blood, thinking Edith is dead, and Gru saying that the plan will work for 2 kids. But it turns it was Edith's juice and it poked a hole. Then they go into the kitchen and Gru provides the girls food, water, and doing their pee and poo like dogs. Then Gru sets some rules. Rule No. 1. The girls won't touch anything, but Margot says what about the floor and the air? Gru says yes to that. Rule No. 2. You will not bother me while I'm working, and Rule No. 3. You will not cry, whine, laugh, giggle, sneeze, burp, and fart. No annoying sounds. Agnes asks Gru about if her sound is annoying and makes a popping noise with her mouth. Gru leans close to her face and tells her it is very annoying. He goes to work on Cookie's bots with Dr. Nefario and tells the girls to see him in 6 hours. Margot cannot believe it and tries to encourage Edith and Agnes by saying they're going to be very happy. At Gru's lab, Dr. Nefario makes bots, but they were dancing boogie bots and not cookie robots. Then the girls come and look in the lab. Edith, much to being a tomboy, looks around the lab and points to a glass. She asks Dr. Nefario if she could drink the bottle. Dr. Nefario, being annoyed, tries not to show it and asks her if she wants to explode. Edith kicks Dr. Nefario's leg and they saw everything in the lab. Gru gets disappointed, and then Edith finds a thing and it disintegrated Agnes's unicorn toy. Agnes really wanted a new one due to her obsession of unicorns, so he sends 3 of his minions to get a new one. At night, Gru puts the girls in bed, and they look like bombs, but they are old and not likely to explode. The next day, Gru says to the girls, "We will sell cookies," but the girls say we need to go to ballet first, and Gru says cookies, but then he takes them to ballet. Then he sells cookies at first to Vector, and Margot says, "But his a V and we start from the A's," and Gru says, "I know how the alphabet works and I was in kindergarten." He said, "I was just thinking it would be nice to deliver to Vector first," and Gru makes them cookie bots, and the cookie bots change the settings and they let Gru and the minions in, and so they steal the shrink ray but close the door, which the cut open, and so Gru finds some way to get out and gets out half naked. Eventually, Gru and the girls arrive at Vector's fortress and Gru manages to steal the shrink ray. The girls then suggest a day at a vibrant theme park. Super silly funland. Gru agrees, believing he can leave the girls there, but when he attempts to leave them upon a roller coaster, he is told by the attendant they cannot ride without an adult, to his dismay. He is then dragged around the theme park for the day, eventually warming up to the girls after they compliment him over blowing up a rigged carnival game. Later, Gru contacts Mr. Perkins, stating that he has finally got the shrink ray in his possession. Margot, Edith, and Agnes interrupt the meeting, and Perkins announces that he has lost confidence in Gru and will no longer fund his operations. As Gru tells the minions about the bad news, The girls offer the contents of their piggy bank to fund the plan. His minions then hand over their own savings. Gru, inspired, sacrifices parts of his lair to construct a rocket by selling everything possible to support the plan. Gru plans to steal the moon when it is nearest the Earth, but this ends up being the same day as the girls' ballet recital. Gru becomes conflicted, and Dr. Nefario, seeing this as interfering with the plan, arranges for the girls to be returned to the orphanage. Around the same time, Mr. Perkins informs Vector, who is actually Mr. Perkins' son, of Gru's possession of the shrink ray and the adoption of the 3 girls, inciting Vector to take action. Gru proceeds with his plan to steal the moon, successfully shrinking it to fit in his hand, with a brief prior attempt by Vector to latch onto the rocket, where he receives an electrical shock, but is too late to attend the recital. He then finds a note from Vector, who has kidnapped the girls, telling him to give him the moon in exchange for them. After arriving at Vector's lair, Gru readily makes the trade, but Vector reneges on the deal, flying off with the girls and the moon, much to Gru's anger. Meanwhile, Dr. Nefario has discovered that the effects of the shrink ray are temporary. The bigger the object is originally, the faster it will regain its original size. As the moon starts to expand in Vector's ship, Gru, Dr. Nefario, and the minions pull off a daring mid-air rescue of the girls just as the moon explodes out from Vector's ship and launches itself back into orbit, with Vector trapped on the moon. Sometime later, Gru has readopted the girls and treats them as his daughters, writing them a bedtime storybook framed around his own experience, named One Big Unicorn. The film ends with the girls performing their own ballet recital from a scene in Swan Lake, their ballet performance theme, for Gru, Marlena, Dr. Nefario, and the minions. Sometime later thought the show, another minion kicks his friend to the side who is testing music. He then puts on a disc of a dance party, and everybody is shown dancing. A final shot shows the moon back in its rightful place, with Vector dancing on the moon with the anti-gravity afflicted minion. Gru brings a piece of the dance stage up with Margot, Edith, and Agnes, and they look at the moon. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the movie. What are your thoughts on the movie? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps us to keep working.